My name is Ryan McPherson. I'm the Chief Sustainability Officer here at the University of Buffalo. Faith keeper of the Onondaga Nation, Oren Lyon said, the peacemaker taught us about the 7 generations. And he said, when you sit in council for the welfare of the people, you must not think of yourself or your family, not even of your generation. He said, make your decisions on behalf of the 7 generations coming so that they may enjoy what you have today. And I just think it's such a great true north and direction for us to think about. My boss, Laura Hubbard, who's the Vice President for Finance and Administration, she is a big fan of the why. For most of us, the sustainability community, the environmental community, our strategy over time has been, well, this is the right thing to do, so therefore. And I don't think that's the winning strategy. Our why here at the university really comes down to 5 or 6 things, but 3 things that really drive us. First and foremost, we're an institution of science, and we have less than a decade to really get our house in order. The data, the science is very clear. The second why is that our students want us to focus on this. And whether you look at the Deloitte surveys of millennials and Zs or many other data sets, or what we hear every day, this is an issue they are hyper-focused on and really, really advancing. It is something that you see in the business community. The business community is really moving forward on these issues, and it's not because it's the right thing to do. It's because they want to retain talent and they want to move to address a marketplace that is growing in terms of Zs and millennials. The third reason I would say is because we have to, and I say that in a good way. The state of New York has really advanced great regulation statutes, whether it's the Climate Leadership Community Protection Act or mini Green New Deals, if you will. There is, quote unquote, money to be made by being smart on climate. And I guess I would end with the last piece, which is, yeah, it is the right thing to do. And quite frankly, that's what fuels me every morning, thinking about my kids, my near adult children, and what world they're going to be living in for the next 80 years plus. That is an appropriate why. It's just, I think sometimes we have to frame them for different audiences. I think sometimes when people hear that term sustainability, it's not just about the bunnies and the trees. And so we do use the SDGs to frame out our larger sustainability work. It's a to-do list for our planet and our people. And we use that as a way to really frame a lot of the research and teaching. That is what we are about here at the university. We have a strategy that's called UB's 10 and 10. It's 10 different, not only areas, but working groups with 10 different university leaders to really get us to climate neutrality by 2030. When you say this term, like, what is climate action? We start to illustrate it through those 10 different areas. But as it stands right now, we're roughly about a third of the way there. That's come from the purchasing of renewable energy. And I think one of the things we're most proud about right now is a really big effort over the past few years to really ramp up our own on-site renewable energy. And while we had a few demonstration kind of projects, it's about 12, 13 megawatts of new power on our campus. We believe that we're one of the largest higher education institutions that is producing renewable energy on their own campus. And that's important to us because I think it's important to show students what we're doing on our own, quote unquote, dirt and rooftops. Because there is a responsibility for our institution to take care of what we are doing and not just purchasing somewhere else. And I would say another area of these kind of 10 is we're really just getting ourselves positioned to think about how we electrify the campus specifically for our heating and cooling. But we've had a long history in this country and the world on this campus of burning things to stay warm, right? So we originally on our South campus had a coal-fired power plant there, right? And transitioned that over to natural gas. And now we need to transition to geothermal and heat pumps and things of that nature. And so we just finished up the South campus study on that, and just super impressed with the people who were involved in that. My colleague Tonga Pham, Wendell Companies, who helped us out with that, the entire EB facilities team. And now we're moving to the North Campus to really understand how we do that. Those game plans will then chart an investment strategy for us to then actually do the work of transitioning those things over. The reason I'm focusing so much on that one is it's the big one. It's the one that costs the most. It is massive infrastructure. A lot of the other climate action work can be done by not just fundamentally remaking the campus, right? But the heating component is a big transition for us. And so we know we need to get ourselves on a strategy for that. And that's really what we're trying to do right now. And I'm excited about that work. I'm a pragmatic optimist. These challenges are so big, that is for sure. I do see amazing progress being made. And I think it's important to keep it like within context, because it can get very overwhelming. And we see that a lot with our students and a lot of climate anxiety, quite frankly. Jane Goodall's great kind of like look at what hope is. Hope is not some Pollyannish thing. It is putting one foot in front of the other. And you can only get there through action. It's through action that then your mental state changes, at least from my perspective. And I see that happening right now in the larger world. I have great hope that the market is starting to react to the opportunity that's there, to not just the opportunity, but the responsibility to really solve this problem, or at least address this problem in a much more holistic, intense way. And then maybe finally, we're moving everything to electrification, but the backbone of the infrastructure of what we're moving things to, is built on 1910, 1900 technology, and in some cases still is that. Moving from a centralized to a decentralized energy system is really what we're talking about. And, I think when we're doing this work, we have to think about human nature, and we have to think about how we engage people with where they're at, and that contrary to popular belief, I or you may not be the center of the universe, right? So we already have a goal. It's to be a top 25 public research university. One of the top issues, 72% of kind of our top students who are looking at university, they think that climate change is a major factor in deciding where they are going to school. Well, okay, so if we want to be a top 25 public research university, to get those students and retain new talent, we have got to be in that game. We went through a couple years worth of really evaluating, working, putting out bids, analyzing, really reducing risk, all of those things, and had a really great bid that came in and would have probably saved us. The forecast was roughly around a couple $1 million a year for 20 years under a locked purchase power agreement, a long-term contract. And one of the great things about New York is we have some awesome goals and some good investment and funding. But one of the big challenges is we have a lot of regulation in the state. And so the procurement and regulatory framework to get approval of certain things, let's just say, works at a different speed than the market. And so we lost that opportunity because the regulatory framework couldn't respond quick enough. When I say quick enough, like within 6 weeks, right? Like because when a renewable energy company is doing it, they need to move. And so we selected them and tried to get review and approval of that, and that fell through. And that was a big one. That was a big failure. We're talking about 200 megawatts. So I would love to see different policy kind of do almost, some type of cleave out for climate change type things, because we are racing a clock. I'm going to just contradict myself of what I just said, Ron. I think sometimes in order to go fast, you need to go slow. Sometimes thinking through things a little bit more than just reacting actually gets you further ahead and more impact.
Interesting. Yes, indeed. It's very true. Proper planning as opposed to poor performance, eh?
Exactly. It's not the critic who counts, nor the man, woman, who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. And I love that reminder that, we all have to be in the arena. And whether you are succeeding or failing is not necessarily the point, but you need to be in the game. And we have a lot of things to do right now, and we need everyone in the arena working to really advance things.